very pure
Right.
and very kind
Right.
and very loving.
And so we want to, yeah, how are we going to tell the difference? Can you feel it? Sometimes we
I
see
always-
it by feeling
exactly,
it,
Exactly. Your feelings will tell you. Your
Yeah.
intuition will tell you. You will know when you do not wish to be in a place because you feel there is a presence and it's negative. You know, I had a client and she wanted to connect with her mother who had passed away, but actually her mother-in-law showed up and she said a few things which I repeated to my client, and my client was totally flabbergasted. She goes, "Oh my God, that's not my mom. That's my mother-in-law who's here." And she used to say
Oh.
this when she was alive, and she was just a really very cranky person. Has she become better? And you know, when I was mentioning
Hope so.
the things that she was saying, actually she hadn't. You
She
know,
hadn't become
she was
better.
still the same person. You know,
Wow.
She was
Now, what
cranky
does
in
that
life.
tell us? I mean, about the way we are now. So like we're
Excuse
going to
me.
go to spirit and just be glorified.
Well, you know,
what do
being
you say?
glorified will come from the devotion that you give or attention you give to your being a cleaner or a more spiritual individual.
Aha.
You know, and so it's the pathway of the life that we lead is going to indicate what kind of a path or what kind of a life we're going to lead when we are
Yes.
no longer in physical
Yes.
form, but in spirit form.
Yes,
You know?
yeah. So what we're doing now counts. I guess
What
if
we're
it's
doing now counts.
the law goes through all different levels.
Every action counts.
Yeah, it sure does. We're learning about that.
Absolutely.
So the
There's
more-
debits and credits. You know?
There's debits and credit. So the more that we learn to, I guess, use our intuition, use our
Yes.
heart, kind of check in, see how we
Absolutely.
feel, really. Not just
Absolutely.
emotions that come and go, but really how we feel deeply.
Yeah, what we feel and how right and wrong, how we can differentiate between that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
ethical and moral
Right.
ways of dealing with your
Yes,
life. You
yes.
know, on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Not just that, you know, the whole week somebody is just horrible and they go once a week to a church or a temple and they feel, I'm a good person now.
Yeah.
You know, everything's been wiped off.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's
Ah.
how we lead every moment, because every moment actually is the entire world. Every moment, you know. We don't think of a moment in that way.
I think one of our little quotes here,
Yes.
because we have a bunch of quotes. It says, "Each moment fully perceived." That's okay. I know that you have come down here after a great
After
cold.
a cold. I'm not
That
contagious
you're all right,
anymore.
but you just cough as much as you want.
I'm
It's all
sorry.
right. Probably half our viewers are up there coughing, so we're all
I'm just
we'll all
joining
cough
them
in
all.
unison. Okay, so each moment fully perceived contains eternity. We've got some quotes, and I
Yes.
thought that would be a really, you know, some that kind of resonate with our intuition. But what you're saying is each moment is full. Each moment.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we're bored or we think, oh, you know, but if we just, maybe we're unaware of everything that that moment holds for us.
Absolutely. And you know, in fact, even as you said that maybe we are bored, I think you had a quote that said, I just find life entertaining.
Oh yes, well,
know?
let's find that
Which one was that?
I am easily entertained by life.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Wow,
And
just by
to-
life. It
just
is
by
funny
life.
a lot of times. It really is. It's funnier than a movie. when you-
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be events. It's just
Okay.
the in nature we can find. Just like when I was driving down, and it, you know, the sunset was so
Yes,
beautiful.
yes.
You know, and there were so many cars driving by.
Yes.
I don't know if they noticed the sunset either.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but to just take a moment and just to look around and just enjoy it. Just enjoy what exists already, and it is there for our enjoyment.
Yeah, and
you
even
know?
though you're on a long trip and you had to be here at a certain time and so forth, you could still enjoy that moment.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
even though I was running late.
Now, I've heard stories about people that say they're working and I can't stop, I've got this problem, and something says, just stop for a minute and go on a walk around the block or take a couple hours off.
Exactly.
And, oh, I can't, and they do, and right in that time, something happens intuitively, and they get an answer or get a direction that would have taken them hours longer to get.
Oh, absolutely, because that's when you truly connect with your
Okay.
spirit as well.
Okay.
You know, because the mind is so motivated in
Yes.
working all the time. The mind, the body inside is a mechanical apparition. It is a mechanical machine that operates 24/7 every second of every day, of every month, of every year, you know. So it's a very mechanical system that we are inside us and outside us, really. Our skin's growing and the cells are dying and they're replenishing. Everything is happening. The nails are growing, the hair is growing, the body is going south. You know?
Yes, where's that going?
So since we are such a mechanical institution, the brain attempts to control that by making the mind think in a very machine-like way as well. And people train. We go to school, we are trained to be there for 6 hours a day. We're trained to come home and complete our homework. We're trained to go to bed at a certain, we're trained to cook in a certain way. It's always about becoming more and more like a trained machine.
A trained machine.
And so therefore in that training, if no time exists for the self, for the soul is going to cry out or just totally die off. And people are not accustomed to doing that. You know? So
we get more and more locked in, it sounds like, to our routines, and maybe that's okay in a sense, but in another sense we don't give ourselves time, right, to develop and unfold intuitively.
Absolutely, because it is good that we have a routine. We even have a ritual to go to bed at time. You know, we brush our teeth, we floss our teeth, we put our lotions on, you know, etc., etc. So rituals help keep us disciplined. However, in that discipline should also be a way of foraging out time for the soul as well, you know.
What are some of the other things we could do to actually give time? I know it's in every moment, and you were talking even about being at Disneyland and seeing the children play and all the noise and the human, you know, energy, but you still could focus on something there.
Absolutely. It doesn't, people feel that in order to be on a discipline, on a path to spiritual freedom or to spiritual enlightenment, they have to go away to the top of a mountain or live quietly by themselves. It isn't so. One can absolutely accommodate their own lifestyle and still learn how to zone out the noise in order to be able to focus in a spiritual moment.
So even if someone has a lot of kids and you're at a place where, you know, kids are having a good time on rides, you can still focus. How did you do that?
Well, I have years of meditational background.
So you're
so that helped. That helped. But even if my life was really busy, and once I was at Disneyland and watching the kids go round and round in their little cups and saucer, you know, ride, and it was really noisy. There was a carousel going, there was the churro man, and there were all these families with their children, and everybody was talking. I could just totally zone it out because I just looked at a leaf. And in a leaf, there is perfectness of life, just like a flower. We can't make this by ourselves. You know, we can plant the seed and we can hope and pray. I have a brown thumb with plants in the house, so I probably wouldn't be able to make it grow from seed, you know. But just the miracle of its form, which is godly, because God has created. I am a firm believer in God. I'm a very religious person.
Oh, well, you're on the right show.
And so to marvel at the miracle, and that leaf is a perfect entity in itself.
Yes, it
you know,
certainly is.
That quietens the mind.
And if we realize that, we are too.
Absolutely. And plants grow in
entities.
Noise, plants grow in solitude, you know.
And so whatever we're doing, we should be able to focus on something at that moment.
Something that's alive,
and still
something that's growing. And soil is alive.
Still enjoy.
Exactly. A rock is alive, you know.
Oh, a rock.
Absolutely. They say it's, yes. And so there is growth in it, you know. And it was created. If anything that was created, it can become the focus of attention.
Yes,
and
that's wonderful.
Helps.
And then that will help us and still be able to carry on. I know Ginger's on the line already, but let me just say one or two more things. You were saying that you know, even if here's another wonderful quote that says, even if I can't remember right now, a deeper part of me knows.
Yes.
So that even if we're like, I know a good friend has had surgery and it's kind of, you know, you feel a little bit down and out sometimes.
Sure.
And like everything's changed, and yet there's some deeper part that knows, and I just encourage her, that's okay.
Yeah.
Be easy on yourself right now. You're going to come through it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because each moment will employ a certain emotion in us.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
and every action that we go through, you know,
Yes.
whether it's surgery, whether it's something devastating,
Yes.
like losing a loved one,
Yes.
or it's something fabulous like welcoming in a brand new, you know, baby boy, like my client did. Every moment will bring with it a certain sense of a happening. And as that happening occurs, if people can just give it the rightful passage,